With the completion of 7 Grand Steps, I wrapped up the numerically named games in my Steam library and moved on to the A's. This week I have a triple feature with 3 games that really show how broad the action genre can really be. The first game was for the Awesome. This game was developed by Dejabon Games LLC and Alchemy Labs. It was released in 2011. Cost $9.99 and took me 2 hours and 48 minutes to beat. Next I beat Absolver, developed by Slowclap and released in 2017. This game costs $29.99 and cost me 2 hours and 14 minutes to beat. Abyss Odyssey was developed by Ace Team, released in 2014, cost $14.99 and took me 1 hour and 22 minutes to beat. I do want to clarify, all of these games have a lot more content that I didn't get into. For each game, I completed basically the bare minimum requirements needed to consider the game beaten, and all 3 of these games have a lot more playtime I walked away from. As for genres, Awe is considered an action sports game, Absolver is considered an action fighting game, and Abyss Odyssey is considered an action roguelike. Interestingly, none of these felt quite right to me, but it is important to keep in mind. Oh, here's a song. Oh, I'm liking this one. All for the Awesome takes place above the city of Boston, Massachusetts, in a time when base jumping is outlawed. You play as a rebel determined to base jump regardless of the legal ramifications. The gameplay is limited to the act of moving in the air while falling. Points are awarded for moving close to objects on the way down. To beat this game, I played all levels in the Awesome category. I felt that the Awesome category of levels was the main game, but there were also Wayback and free DLC levels I didn't finish, which would make this game a great value for $9.99. This game was a lot of fun to play. The game was simple, but it added additional rhythm game mechanics such as left-clicking to cheer at fans, right-clicking to flip off protesters, or middle mousing to graffiti certain buildings. Each level had enough difference that gameplay didn't become stale, and the game wasn't difficult, but it had enough challenge that it felt good. While the graphics are a little hard on the eyes, this game was developed in 2011, and the visuals don't hinder the experience 10 years later. The atmosphere created in this game with the music, the humor, and the level of action leads me to give this game a score of 8 out of 10, on par with the 12 Labors of Hercules 3 Girl Power. Yeah, the net just slows you down. Very kind of the net. Thank you, Mr. Net.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
I guess getting the red circle is probably better than hitting a couple more kisses. I got another achievement. Completing your 128th jump. Your birds. Here we go. Nice little cinematic action. Absolver, the fighting game, seemed to have a bit of an identity crisis. To beat this game, I conquered all of the bosses in the main storyline. Because the game advertises itself as being a fighting game, it is expected that the focus would lie on the PvP. Absolver actually has the building blocks of a fantastic action RPG. Absolver has a creative combat system where you swap stances and create your own unique fighting style by learning moves and building decks. Other online players pop into your world and you can interact with them by dueling or working together to take down bosses. There is equipment pieces you can find or unlock, both weapons and armor. There are dungeons you can complete with up to 2 friends. These are all really great action RPG elements, but the developers instead packaged it as an online player versus player fighting game with a 2-hour campaign tacked on as an extended tutorial with just a hint of a real storyline. This game is a great proof of concept, but because they didn't find their full potential, I have to give this game a 7 out of 10. While it feels conceited of me to punish the game for not moving in the direction I would have envisioned it, it should be obvious that a genre of player versus player combat should have a player base. Absolver doesn't even permit cross-platform play, which would have made a huge difference. Alright, not gonna be first try. Alright, I'm figuring it out now. Abyss Odyssey also tells a tale of missed potential. Abyss Odyssey had me hooked with their cool artistic design, great atmosphere, and promise of a compelling roguelike. When I beat the final boss on my second attempt, I said, "Is that it?" and had to research if that really was the final boss. The roguelike genre is meant to beat down the player, kick them while they're down, and then let them get back up with new knowledge or new equipment to try again. I found this game to be too easy, mostly stemming from a mechanic where when you die, you play as a second character who continues on until they find an altar to resurrect the first character and repeat the process. These altars were available almost every level and made the game trivial since you have almost infinite lives from this process. If this mechanic was removed, I could see the game being a very respectable challenge and more true to the genre. As it is, I give the game a 6 out of 10. Some other aspects of the game didn't feel fully realized. The combat was clunky, the map was confusing, and this stupid guitar guy is basically worthless and super annoying. Trope of like older fantasy style, or maybe it actually happened, but you know, like the giant padlock, like the keys were massive. I think it's so that you don't forget you have a key. Honestly, I think it's more because they didn't believe I was going to be able to remember the key thing. Next week I will be reviewing Agents of Mayhem. If you want to watch while I play the games featured in these videos, I stream them live over at twitch.tv/whiterabbit234. If you want to take the challenge in your own game library and need moral support, join the Discord with the link in the description below. Let me know how you feel about this week's reviews in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.